Hello everyone, today I am taking a new poem from our literature reader, New Broadway. Here is some information about the poem that we are starting today, Ozymandias. Here is a famous poem about one of the many ruins that travelers usually find in the desert of Egypt and Sudan. The sonnet, a poem that has 14 lines each containing 10 syllables, makes us think about the nature of fame, power and wealth. So this is 14 lines poem that starts with first person pronoun and then remaining 13 lines are spoken by a traveler who returned from an ancient city. The places that are described here are Egypt and Sudan. And that traveler talked about a statue of a great king in the center of a desert that is now in pieces. Here is the poet of this poem, Percy Bysshe Shelley, better known as P.B. Shelley, who was born in 1792 and died in 1822. He is regarded as one of the finest English poets. His poetry was unconventional and so were his political and social views. His best-known poems are Ozymandias, Ode to the West Wind, To a Skylark, and Prometheus Unbound. In this video, we are going through his one of best poem, Ozymandias. This is the beginning of the poem. I met a traveler from an antique land who said two vast and trunkless legs of a stone stand in the desert. Antique means very old, vast is called very large, and trunkless means without the body. So poem begins with the speaker or the poet of this poem who met a traveler from an old land, and here the name of that place is given Egypt or Sudan. So that traveler told the poet that he was coming from that place where he saw the pieces of a very huge statue, and he saw very big stone legs of that statue in the desert. Trunkless means that those stone legs were standing there without the upper body. Means the upper body part was not there. Only legs were of that statue were standing over there. Near them on the sand, half sunk and shuttered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and a sneer of cold command. Visage means a face that has broken into pieces, and frown is called having lines on the forehead because of whenever we are having serious expression. And wrinkled up means having lines on the lips, and sneer is called unpleasant look that shows as if you don't respect others. So near the broken legs of the statue, the traveler also saw the broken head of that statue that was half buried in the sand, and head of that statue was in pieces. So it is clear that due to some natural disaster, the whole statue is destroyed, or maybe it is just because of the natural process or decay of the time. So in this paragraph, the traveler described that the statue was lying on the sand, but its expression is still visible as angry, commanding, and upset man, as it had an unpleasant look with the angry lines on his forehead and on their lips. So the statue is recognized as the mighty ruler Ozymandias. First rhyme scheme of this 14 line poems, that is A B A B A C D C E D E F E F. Now literary devices, first is alliteration, that is known as the repetition of consonant sounds. Here we can see legs of stone stand, repetition of S sound in line number 2 and 3, and in cold command repetition of consonant sound C can be seen in line number 5. Next literary device is assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in one or more words found close together. Here it occurs in the phrase half sunk a shattered visage lies. Here the short A sound in half and shattered is repeated. So in fact the A sound is actually repeated throughout the poem in the words like traveler, antique, vast, and even in Ozymandias himself. So next literary device is enjambment. Now enjambment is literary device when the continuation of a sentence is there without an expected pause. So here two sentences, the continuous sentences without having a pause is coming in line number 2 and 3. Who said two vast and trunkless legs of a stone stand in the desert near them on the sand? Here we can see the sentence is not finished yet, but the line is broken. Like who said two vast and trunkless legs of a stone? The sentence is not completed, but the line is broken and started with the next line. So this is called enjambment. Some new words from this paragraph is antique land means old city. Vast is called very large. Trunkless is called without the body. Visage is the face that is broken into pieces. Frown means having lines on forehead because of the serious expression. Wrinkled lips is called lines on the lips, and sneer means unpleasant look. Further lines of this poem tell that it's a sculptor while those passions read which yet survive is stamped on those lifeless things. Sculptor means the man who makes a statue, or we can say murtikar. Passions is called a strong feeling. Survive means continue to exist, and stamped is called marked. So now the traveler talk about the sculptor who has made this statue, that he understood the passion and emotion of King Ozymandias, whose statue was being made. The sculptor was very skilled or talented. That is why he could carve the face so perfectly that is still clearly visible. His creation is still alive on these lifeless stones. The hand that moved them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear. Mock them here means copy them. Pedestal is called base of that statue. So traveler said that the sculptor's hand that copied and his heart that felt those expressions has inspired him to make the statue of the king. So those hand and heart is still alive through this masterful creation. Now traveler quotes the words written on his statue's base that declares the name of that man whose statue was, that is Ozymandias. So through this paragraph we came to know about lots of praises of that sculptor who has made Ozymandias a statue, and it also reveals the name of that statue, that was Ozymandias. Literary devices for this paragraph. First is alliteration in line number 2. Repetition of consonant sound S can be seen in the word survive is stamped. Next is assonant in line number 4 of this paragraph. A repetition of vowel sound, and on the pedestal these words appear. Some new words. Passions means a strong feeling. Stamped is called marked. Survive means continue to exist. Mocked is called copy, and pedestal means base of the statue. Last lines of this poem. My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Mighty is called as strong, and despair here means be impressed and humbled. So the king Ozymandias also regarded himself as king of kings. He addressed to other kings to look at his achievements. He is giving them a warning not to hope for the greatness that he achieved in his lifetime, as they can never get that high place as he got in his lifetime. Here we can see the impression of his proudy nature, but now his own statue is engraved by the force of nature, and nothing is left except the ruins and sands all around. Round the decay of the colossal work, boundless and bare, the lone and level sense stretch far away. Decay means ruins, and colossal wreck is called great destruction. Boundless means without any limit, and lone has come here as a word alone. So here big destruction indicates that the huge statue of great King Ozymandias is dusted now. The surroundings of this broken statue is never ending, and the barren desert with empty, alone and flat sand is stretching into distance. We are lying the monument of great leader in pieces and now forgotten. So here the poem ends, and with this message that all human beings, whether they are king or poor, are very little creatures in this vast passage of the time. All are pride and strength will one day surely disappear with the time, but always remains the immortal is the work of art. This paragraph is having the literary devices. First is alliteration, the repetition of consonant sound B, boundless and bare in line number 13. Repetition of consonant sound L and S, lone and levels and the stretch in line number 14. Next is apostrophe. Apostrophe is a poetic device where the writer addresses an exclamation to a person or a thing that is not present in that writing. So here in this poem Ozymandias, the apostrophe occurs in the inscription or the words that is written on the pedestal of that statue. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. So this is not being spoken to any specific person in a particular manner, but just ever whoever is happens to come across the statue, whoever is passing by near the statue. So they all can be addressed by these words. So here apostrophe is there where the exclamation by the poet is not addressed to a particular person. Next is enjambment again. Enjambment is the continuation of the sentence when the line is broken without having any pause. So here we are having nothing besides remains round the decay. Here the sentence is not completed, but after the decay, line is broken and started with the next line of that colossal work, boundless and bare. So we can say that in line number 12 and 13 of this poem, the literary device is enjambment. Next is irony. Now irony is another type of literary device where the tone is used to convey a meaning opposite to what is being said. Means what is poet writing in the poem, and when you are taking the meaning of that writing part, that will be actually opposite. Like here in this Ozymandias, that is the complete poem is full of irony, we can say. Shelley, P.B. Shelley contrasts Ozymandias' boastful words of power within the image of his ruined statue that is lying and broken and forgotten in the sand. So here what we can see that Ozymandias might have been very powerful king, but now whose statue is now dusted, and that's why all the boastful words said by Ozymandias is just saying the different things or presenting just the opposite thing. So we can say irony is just opposite from what is presented. Some new words from this last paragraph. Despair is called impressed, decay means ruin, colossal is called very huge, and boundless is called without limits. So with this we have completely come to the end of this poem. So I'll just take a leave here, and I'll meet you with the next video.